Well, good afternoon and welcome to, I don't know what we're going to call this because usually it's at 5, we call it the big show, but this really isn't the big show. This is a instant live reaction to what at this time of year is probably something that's rare, and that is actual news. In case you haven't heard, or you've been living under a rock, or you don't have the internet or whatever, or maybe you were out in the wilderness doing a cleanse like the guy we're going to talk about. Aaron Rodgers, he didn't sign today, but apparently he's going to get on a plane and come and sign. He's agreed to play for the Steelers. He will be in town, ready to go for minicamp next week. And, of course, I'm not sure anybody's really all that surprised by it, but now we can all rest because our long national nightmare is over. He's no longer embarrassing the Steelers. He's no longer, holding them hostage. He's no longer doing all those things. Jason, obviously Jason Mackey, a columnist here at the Post-Gazette as well. Jason, it's been a long, strange ride.
Yes, it has, Paul.
I will say this, okay? Throughout it all, the only people who didn't seem to be stressed out about it were named Rooney, Tomlin, and Kahn.
Yep.
Everybody else was stressed out about it, but those three guys never once acted or talked about in any way the fact that they were stressing out about it. So that's why I kind of felt like we would eventually get here. But I don't know. Did I read that wrong? Apparently I didn't read that wrong because here we are.
Yeah, I don't think you read it wrong. I mean, they probably have pieces of information that we don't have as well. Maybe that's why they're reacting that way, because they had actual discussions with Aaron Rodgers and got information. So, I mean, we can only react to what we know. I know I'm out of the business. I think you are as well, at taking people at their word. Like, I don't care what they say publicly. I don't believe it. And I mean, I understand why people think that Aaron Rodgers was holding the Steelers hostage, but they were also willingly doing this. I mean, they're holding themselves hostage to a degree. They're signing up for this, good, bad, or indifferent. They're saying, we're willing to accept this. I don't know if it's worth the risk. You don't know if it's worth the risk. We're going to find out. I know I wrote that I think it's still their best available avenue to win. Is Aaron Rodgers being good? You can argue about how we got here, but that's their best alternative here.
Well, let me just say this. I wrote a column. Actually, I wrote it yesterday because a little birdie told us this was going to happen yesterday.
So did I. We had 2 columns written a day ahead of time. Look at us.
Mine was actually he's here. He's signed. It's over. I think yours was something like it needs to end soon or something like that. Very similar. But I made the exact same point. If you're a Steeler fan, I mean, Aaron Rodgers represents probably your lowest floor and your highest ceiling in terms of what you're going to get from your quarterback. I would assume he's going to be good enough and healthy enough that there's not going to be the low floor. But the bottom line is his ceiling is higher than Mason Rudolph's.
Yep.
So why would you not want him to be your guy?
Yep. And I mean, they can structure their offense in a way where it takes advantage of what he does well. I mean, I think they need to go out and get a wide receiver right now. But there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to 3-step drop, get the ball out quickly. Like, he's not going to be sitting back there in 7-step drops, Paul. He can't. I don't think the offensive line can block for him. But can he decide pre-snap where the ball's supposed to go? Can he process a defense? I sure as heck hope so. And that's their bet. Like, you don't need him to move around a lot and scramble. You need him to read a defense and execute basic throws. I hope and think he can do that. We're going to find out how well he can do it.
I still think, Jason, the most important thing development with this team this season is Broderick Jones at left tackle and whoever is receiver 2. Those two things.
What about Fautanu at right tackle? The offensive line as a whole, Paul. I thought that's where you were going.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, Broderick Jones to me, I mean, I think Troy fought, obviously he was hurt last year and we didn't get a lot, but what the glimpses we got to see of him, I think he's going to be okay. I like Mason McCormick. I think he's a brawler. He's a tough guy in there. Ciamalo's a good player. Zach Frazier's a good player. But Broderick Jones, to me, is a wild card. And whoever is wide receiver 2 is a wild card. And we might not know who wide receiver 2 is until halfway through training camp when guys start getting cut, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, this guy's available or whatever. But to me, to your point, I think Aaron Rodgers will be good enough that as long as Broderick Jones is able to protect him and they find some suitable receiver on the other side of DK Metcalf, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. Let's talk about the receivers. I want to kick that around a little bit. I had a conversation with Calvin Austin III the other day, and I really enjoyed it. I like him a lot. I probably like him in the slot a lot more than I do out wide.
Right.
Like, do you think he can be that number 2? No. I still think they have to go out and get somebody, man. I mean, you're kind of saying that. Right. I don't see how this group, as it's currently constituted, is good enough. But if you go out and get a legit number 2 right now, and you've got Austin and you've got Roman Wilson, I kind of like that.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest things is Austin, Roman Wilson and Calvin Austin, they would both be in Canton already if we were allowed to count OTAs and training camp and all the other stuff, because they're obviously off-season heroes. Now, but based on, the way that all these guys that cover the team, write about them every Roman Wilson, I'm thinking that he's got a gold jacket getting fitted just based on his last 3 OTAs.
Yeah, he's booking trips to the Pro Bowl, man. He has to.
Right. But my point is, I don't think that they have a good, legitimate option as their number 2 receiver. And so,
fair.
Woods, Wilson, Calvin Austin, right?
Yep. Ben Skoranek. You're not on the Ben Skoranek trade.
Isn't Scotty Miller still bouncing around here somewhere? Right?
He's there. You know what their second wide receivers are, Paul? They're the Pirates lineup, trying to hit.
Exactly.
You're counting on a whole bunch of positive outcomes, and you know what? I learned the hard way. Don't do that.
Right.
I look like an idiot counting on that because it didn't happen and their offense stinks. So go get somebody.
Well, here's the other thing. Like I said last year, the Steelers receiving core is George Pickens and 5 guys named Mo. And I'm not sure that Mo isn't the best of the group. So, I don't know that it's changed much other than DK Metcalf is better than Pickens probably. And if you want to tell me that Roman Wilson being healthy will be, something that's an addition, I could go with that. It's funny. I don't understand what people hear here. I'm reading Cindy here who says, can't wait to hear you two complain about Rodgers in October. Are we sitting here saying that he's the greatest quarterback ever, or what? Are we saying he's right now their best option? Here's the thing. These people that are mad about them signing Aaron Rodgers, can I just say this? And I made this point in my column. Jason, they should be mad at the Steelers, not at Aaron Rodgers. Right. Because the Steelers backed themselves into a corner and got to a point when, guess what? This was their best alternative. Right. There was other guys available that if they would have been proactive early in the offseason, including 2 guys that were here last year, right? If they'd have been proactive early in the but as those guys started going off the board, to me, it was very, very clear, okay? Very clear, to me at least, that Rodgers was their plan A, B, C, and D. That they basically had an insurance policy named Mason Rudolph, and that's the way they went.
All right, but what about Justin Fields? What about Russell? And I'm not lobbying for them to sign those guys, but that's what Art talked about after the season, that they want to sign Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. Why the heck didn't they sign one of those guys? And I think Cindy and a lot of other fans would be happy if the Steelers signed Justin Fields. I don't know if they're in any better spot with Justin Fields, with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think we'll know until the season. Right. I just don't understand. I'm agreeing with what you're saying, Paul. They've bungled the quarterback position to this point, and that's what you should be upset about. But if they're available options, was there somebody there that's going to make everybody feel great? I don't think so. I think it's different versions of feeling disenchanted. Fields, Wilson, nobody was going to solve the problem.
I mean, I honestly think that if you look at the whole situation with quarterback, I said this at the end of the year. If you look at the free agent list, there's nobody that's any good. I mean, the guy that's going to cost a lot of money is Sam Darnold. I mean, how would Steeler fans be feeling right now if they had Sam Darnold? And
right. I don't want that for the money. No.
Exactly. And that's the key to me. Look, you can say whatever you want to say about Aaron Rodgers. I don't care if, we're driving to work one day and we see him sitting on the Fort Pitt Bridge, smoking a hookah and praying to the gods or some goofy thing like that. I don't care if he does stuff like that, okay? Doesn't matter to me, right? As you know, don't care what he thinks about vaccines. It doesn't matter to me either because he's a quarterback. That's the only investment we have in him is he's a quarterback. I don't care about any of that. If you look at last season when he got healthy, he got healthier as the season went on. The last 10 games of the season, he threw for 18 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So to me, I'm not saying that, you're getting Aaron Rodgers in the last 5 or 6 years, but I look at the entire list of guys that changed teams this year, and I think Aaron Rodgers is as good as any of them and has probably more upside than any of them. And so, I mean, yeah. I don't know if he's going to work out or he's not. And here's the thing, Jason, it's a win-win. If he doesn't work out, they'll stink. He'll get a top 10 pick next year, and everybody will be happy because they'll be able to get their quarterback in the future.
Yeah, but you could have done that with Mason. Why do you have to bring Aaron Rodgers here to do that?
Well, because I think Mason Rudolph, they would be 8 or 9 win team. I think they'd be drafted.
Now they're a 10 or 11 win team.
You know what I mean? I think they have a shot to be a 10, 11 win team with Rudolph. They also probably have a shot to be a 4 or 5 win team. So
I don't disagree with that. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I mean, the thing with Rodgers, I think there's good football in there. I like what he did at the end of last season. I think a lot of his numbers and performance was sort of skewed by the Jets. Just dude, he's 41. How much longer are we expecting this guy to find the fountain of youth? Are we expecting him to stay healthy for 17 games? That's the bet that I worry about.
Right. No, there's no question. And he's obviously got a bad wheel that he had some sort of miraculous healing of or whatever the story was with that nonsense. I mean, I'm just telling you, I think when you look at it from that standpoint, there was no other real alternative after about the first month and a half of the offseason began. Yeah. Because they made it clear they weren't going to bring in Justin Fields or bring back Justin Fields. They made it clear they had zero interest in Russell Wilson. Wilson had his agent out there trying to tell people, hey, we're working something out with the Steelers. And the Steelers were like, what? We are? I said this at the start of this too, Jason. I thought that Justin Fields and Russell Wilson were probably among the top 4 quarterbacks available. So,
sure.
You know what I mean? If you look at the list of guys that were available, I mean, look at the number of – look at the guys that bounced around and stuff. And, and last week we had, people talking about Kirk Cousins. I mean, if you – listen, Kirk
no,
Cousins,
thank you, Paul. No, thank you. I would rather –
talking about Kirk Cousins.
I'd rather do nothing and take Mason Rudolph than Kirk Cousins.
Right. If you're talking about Kirk Cousins, you're smoking too much wacky tobacco because why do you want a guy who is probably done, who just lost his job to a guy who might not even be a good quarterback, a rookie who might not even be a good quarterback? You look at the list, Jason. Now, moving the discussion forward, it is fair to say, okay, how does he really fit realistically in the Steelers offense? And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
I don't like his offense. But I feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, he's been around a long enough time that he will be able to build some semblance of an offense around what Aaron Rodgers does well.
I agree with you. I think Arthur Smith has been around enough and he's been in enough places around enough people. He's going to realize to succeed, he's going to have to build this offense around Aaron Rodgers. This isn't going to work if Arthur Smith doubles down and says, this is my offense. This is what we're doing. Aaron, you're going to come in here and you're going to run this. That's not going to end well, man. That's not going to end well with any quarterback, and especially not Aaron Rodgers. So I think Arthur Smith, is actually a good thing that they're going to have to change a little bit. They've already changed a lot of the zone running stuff. I was talking to Kaleb Johnson about that last week. A lot more zone concepts, which is good. But, I mean, they're going to have to be thrown over the middle. They're going to have to find ways that Aaron Rodgers is comfortable. They're going to have to get him a wide receiver that he really likes. And they can't have some of the deep drop stuff that they were using with Russell Wilson throwing moon balls. That's what I mean. They're going to have to utilize the over the middle and adjust to what Aaron Rodgers does well, keep him upright, and let him get rid of the ball quickly.
Yeah, and my thing is, the thing about that is he can still take some shots down the field when he needs to, but
especially on a free play. How about that?
Right,
I can't wait for the free plays.
He'll do what he has to do. I think one of the things about playing in Pittsburgh that will help is he's going to be playing on grass instead of turf. His injury came on turf. I think when you're old, I think you'd rather play on grass. So I find it amusing, too, that some people are really bent out of shape about this. And I say to them all the time, it ultimately is going to come down to whether or not he plays well. Because if he doesn't play well, you're going to be booing him. If he does play well, all these people that are complaining about him, I mean, he's your quarterback. Is he weird, eccentric, whatever you want to say? Yeah. And here's one other thing, Jason, that makes me laugh. The people that are like, he's a prima donna. He's a diva. He doesn't fit into the Steelers' overall philosophy.
I know where you're going with that.
He's diva and this and that and the other thing. Do you remember a guy that wore the number 7 for like 20 years on this team?
Right.
If Jason, I don't know, let's just say there's 40,000 guys that have played in the NFL maybe over the course of the time of history. There's 40,000 guys. Let's say 40,000. I don't even know what the number is, but let's say 40,000, right?
Yep.
Number 7, who was here for 20 years and all these people loved and beloved and all that other stuff, number 7 would be somewhere in the top 3 or 4 of all-time divas and narcissists and all the other things that you caught talking about Aaron Rodgers. And he seemed to fit into the Steelers' philosophy just fine.
Yeah, he's going to be all right. And, I mean, that was a good rant. I like that. He's also a football player. I mean, if you have 40,000 football players, what percentage of that do you think are divas? Like, He wants the attention. He likes this. That's okay. And I don't care what he does. I'm with you. I don't care what he does if he plays football well, if he stays healthy, if he stays upright, if this offense is functional. I don't know if it's going to be. They might stink. I think that's entirely possible. I'm reading some of the comments, and some of these people are thinking that, like, you and I are taking this to the bank and saying that, like, the Steelers are going to be doing some great things with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, no, we're not. We're saying they might be slightly better. And there's going to be some drama, though, Paul. I'm kind of skipping around, but you're talking about the divaness. Man, tell me it's not going to be entertaining, some of the stuff that he does or says going on McAfee. There's a drama quotient here.
Yeah, but I mean, the Steelers, that's par for the course for them, isn't it?
Oh, no doubt.
They've sort of become a team that does that, I just think that really if you take the whole picture and, try to put it into focus, the diva stuff to me is probably the least of my concerns. Yeah. Because here's the other thing, Jason. Forget about football players. How many quarterbacks aren't divas in the NFL? Right. How many guys that achieve, one of only 32 jobs in the world as a starting quarterback, which means you're one of the theoretically 32 best guys in the world at what you do. You know what, Jason? I'm pretty sure that you and I might be among the top 32 guys that do what we do in the world. But
I don't know about that, Paul, but that's all right.
I'm just saying there's literally thousands and thousands, so maybe it's a subjective thing.
Yep.
Here, there's only 32 of them. So, and so to me, you mean to tell me Tom Brady wasn't did you ever read some of the stuff about the way Peyton Manning?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't care how big his head is if he can play. That's all that matters.
Right. And if he can play, everyone will be happy with it. If he can't play, people won't be happy. But if you want to have fun with it, Jason, ask these people okay? Ask these people that you get into these discussions with or whatever, okay, what is it about Aaron Rodgers that you hate?
Yeah.
Because most of them can't put a finger on it. Most of them can't give you an answer. Most
Probably
of them
his vaccine
stuff,
stance.
Yeah, most of them say stuff that is just like, well, that's not true. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, you and I are both saying the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to work, right? And I think I don't want to speak for you, but I think you're saying the same thing. You don't know if this is going to work, but this was their best choice.
Well, and it was their only opportunity because of how they've screwed up the quarterback position. And that's not just a this year thing. That's a multi-year thing. That's everything post-Ben. Whether it's Kenny or Mitch or what, they haven't solved that position. That's a fairly obvious statement. If they would have, we wouldn't have to have this discussion. And until they figure it out, we're going to keep doing this and keep doing this and keep doing this. I could understand saying, I don't need this. Like, I know that they're either going to be a mediocre team or a bad team, and I can learn that with Mason Rudolph. They're either going to be a mediocre team or a bad team with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think they're ever going to be an elite team, at least not until they figured out the quarterback situation. So why are you going to go spend $10 or $15 million on a quarterback when you don't have to? I mean, I think there's a valid argument for that. But, yeah, I get where they're coming from. I get what they're trying to do, and there is slightly more ceiling here.
Yeah,
we should do some reads too. By the way, we owe Mr. Bittner some reads.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You do your read, and then in a few minutes I'll do mine.
All right. Mine is for Edgar Snyder and Associates, typically our presenting sponsor for this place. Law firms come and go, but what law firm has been here in Western Pennsylvania fighting for injury victims for more than 40 years? Edgar Snyder and Associates. What firm has a staff of over 130 people who live and work here? Edgar Snyder and Associates. Law firms come and go, but Edgar Snyder and Associates is a name you can always trust. So remember, there's never a fee unless they get money for you. If you've been hurt in an accident, call them at 1-800-94-EDGAR or visit edgarsnyder.com. They're available 24/7. I give myself an A- on that. That was all right.
There you go. You did good. We figured it out. And, you got it done. And that's what really is all that we care about, Jason, is you got it done.
Very well.
The thing about DK Metcalf, I mean, it feels a lot to me like Rodgers and Metcalf will quickly develop a very good chemistry, and that could really, really help. You know what I'm saying?
I think they need to, right? Like, even if Rodgers brings in one of his guys, like who is it? Alan Lazard? Best case scenario, he's the number 2. Like, he's going to have to work it out with DK Metcalf. I don't know about you, man. I've really liked the DK Metcalf signing the more this offseason has gone on. I think it's exactly who the Steelers need. I think he's going to wind up becoming really close with Aaron Rodgers. I think he has to. But if you're Aaron Rodgers, man, aren't you feeding DK Metcalf the ball? Looking at the rest of the receivers like we're talking about, you'd be feeding them the ball a lot. They also need to utilize the tight ends more. I think that's part of Arthur Smith and what he needs to change.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. If you think about it, it's really, really interesting. The other thing is, are they still flirting with his tight end from the Dolphins or wherever who's this kid?
Johnny Smith.
Yeah, are they still flirting with him? I mean, there was like a report that they're not, and then all of a sudden it was they are again, and now it's not. Well, maybe they're not. I'm not sure adding him really does a whole lot to enhance the team, but you never know.
Yeah. I mean, I'd rather, if they could make one ad, Paul, I'd rather they get a veteran, surefire number 2 receiver. I think you're in the same boat. I mean, I'm fine with Pat Freiermuth as my tight end. I think they need to do a better job getting him the ball. Darnell Washington's another guy. We're talking about training camp darlings, guys that are going to Canton based on OTAs. Darnell Washington, he's another in that category too, man. But, utilize Pat more, utilize Darnell more, and go get a number 2 wide receiver. I'm fine with Gabe Davis. I'm fine with Keenan Allen. I'm fine with Alan Lazard. Like, it's not a sexy move, but you need somebody. Man, dear God, if DK Metcalf goes down, their number 1 is what? Calvin Austin? Robert Woods? It's not going to work. They need more depth.
Yeah. I mean, again, they do need more depth. You talked about the running back situation. Are they going to be good enough out of the backfield? and I don't mean running the ball. I mean catching the ball, and you know what I mean, as part of the offense. If we're going to talk about being a little conservative and check downs and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think they are. I don't know if I'm drinking Kool-Aid. Like, I feel a lot better about the running backs than I do the wide receivers. I've liked what I've seen from Kaleb Johnson. I think Jaylen Warren's going to be a threat. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be, the best running team in the AFC North. I'm not saying they're going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. But can they be a little bit more competent? Yeah. And I think it goes hand in hand too, Paul. I mean, if teams have to respect Aaron Rodgers and what they're doing downfield, the running backs are going to have a better opportunity. And they need to, too. That's something I've thought about with Rodgers. Like, if they don't have a competent running game, boy, does that screw Rodgers. It screws a pass rush. You're 2nd and 9, 2nd and 11, obvious pass rush situations. Like, they need to have something to allow teams to, force teams, I should say, to stay honest and not just bring the house with Rodgers, because you can't. You're going to be able to do that sort of stuff. You just can't move. So you need some semblance of a running game. What do you think? You think I'm crazy?
No, I mean, obviously they want to run the ball. That's the big thing. That's part of.
Well, I want to hit the lottery. It doesn't mean it's happening.
Part of what makes their offense go, or at least Arthur Smith's offense go, is being able to run the ball. So they better be able to figure it out. I like Jaylen Warren. I don't know if I like him as much as an every down guy, but I do like him as a guy, change of pace guy. I have to see more of the rookie, Kaleb Johnson.
Kaleb Johnson.
I need to see more from him. But again, I think one major factor this year, if they can stay healthy, is their offensive line is already set. They're going to be able to go through mini camp. They're going to be able to go through training camp, exhibition season, all 5 of them together. I think they're definitely going to be able to run the ball on the. I guess it would be the right side with McCormick and Frazier, McCormick, and Fautanu. I mean, I think you should be able to run the ball behind that group. And,
you should be able to. Yep.
You throw in Darnell Washington, and all of a sudden you should be able to really, start pounding people. And if they're able to do that, then all of a sudden they can dictate when they throw and the situations they want to throw in, and that will probably mitigate some of the pressure that teams will probably bring on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be driven by Aaron Rodgers in the passing game. I hope that that's not what they're sort of looking at this for. I'm not looking at Aaron Rodgers to carry them. I mean, I'm looking for Aaron Rodgers to play a competent. I mean, honestly, I'm looking at him to do what Russell Wilson should have done last year and did for the good parts of the season. Like, provide a mature, an ability. How do I say this? Like, he's making adult throws. Remember that stretch of the season where it was after Justin Fields, it was early in Russell Wilson. In some of the reads, some of the throws he was making, you very clearly could see that Justin Fields was not capable of doing those things. It's like an adult playing the position. And that's the best version of Aaron Rodgers. If he's making reads and getting the ball downfield in a way that it's sort of like Aaron Rodgers in his prime, I'm not expecting 4-time NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers to come rolling in here. I know that guy's gone. But if you can get some version of that, that's the upside here. And I don't know, maybe I'm insane. Maybe you're insane. Like, I can see that happening. I don't know if I see it happening for 17 games and him staying healthy.
Right. If he stays healthy, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They will be okay. But, he's got to stay healthy. And that's another, if you look now, it's interesting. This is always a fun discussion. We will concede Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow as the top 2 quarterbacks in the division.
Yeah, fair.
But would you rather have the Steelers quarterback room or the Browns quarterback room? And the Browns and Steelers quarterback room obviously is Rudolph. What's the dude from Miami? Skylar Thompson or whatever. Who is it?
Skylar Thompson. Yep,
Skylar Thompson, Will Howard, and Aaron Rodgers. And in Cleveland, it's
Joe Flacco,
similar.
Kenny Pickett.
You've got your ancient guy. You've got your ancient guy in Joe Flacco, who has won a Super Bowl. Who's 90 years old too. You've got Kenny Pickett, former first-round pick, and then you've got Shedeur Sanders and the kid from Oregon. I'm going to let you bat this around a little bit.
Thanks.
Which quarterback room would you rather have, the Browns or the Steelers?
I'm not taking anything from the Browns, Paul. I refuse. I'll take the Steelers. And I think I believe that. I think. I believe that. I think Flacco is over the hill. I don't think he's very good. I think there's a possibility, again, like we're saying, that Aaron Rodgers is halfway decent. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is going to amount to much. Kenny Pickett might be it wouldn't surprise me if he went there and was the most productive of the group. I think Dylan Gabriel's probably a good college quarterback and nothing more. It's a close race, and it's not a glorious race. I don't know. It's like two fat guys running the 40, but somebody's going to win, and I'm taking the Steelers. What about you?
Well, yeah, I'm taking the Steelers too, just because I know that Kevin Stefanski, if you listen to him talk, Kenny Pickett is already the second coming of Dan Marino.
But, he's not. He's not.
But, we've seen what Kenny Pickett is. Here, let's even go a little bit one step further, right? I think we'll both concede that you'd rather have Josh Allen, right, than Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah, I'll go with that.
So that's
and throw Patrick Mahomes in there too. I'll take him over.
We're just going to go down the list here in the AFC to see where the Steelers' starting quarterback ranks in our mind. So, how about Tua? Because I would probably rather have Aaron Rodgers.
I think I'd rather have Rodgers. I worry about Tua.
Okay, so we're not going to count Tua. Here's another one. Justin Fields. I'd probably rather have Rodgers.
Oh boy. Yeah, I would too. I'm thinking it through. I'd rather have Rodgers. Yeah.
All right. Drake May.
I'd rather have Rodgers.
Probably rather have Rodgers. Okay. We've already said Burrow and Jackson. We'd rather have those two guys. Obviously, we'd rather have Rodgers than Pickett. Okay. Here we go. I think we would probably both rather have C.J. Stroud, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
How about Trevor Lawrence?
I'd take Lawrence.
I probably would take Lawrence as well. That's 5. How about Anthony Richardson, the kid from the Colts?
I'd take Rodgers.
I would take Rodgers over him. Okay. I would take Rodgers over Cam Ward just because, he's a rookie. I don't know what he's going to be.
Yeah.
Right?
I probably would too. Yeah.
All right. So now we talk about – go ahead.
The other thing with Rodgers that I think we need to acknowledge is the negative side. Like you said it early, but in having this discussion, at least I'm weighing this. Like, I like the idea that he could stick. I think that's beneficial to the Steelers. Like, if they wind up with 4 wins because Aaron Rodgers is terrible, that's not altogether a loss.
No.
I'm great with that. If that puts them in position for 2026 to take a quarterback, awesome.
Now, I'm going to ask you this, okay? So there's 5 in the AFC that we've said we would rather have than Aaron Rodgers. Now let's go to the AFC West. And why this is interesting to me. Is there any quarterback in the AFC West that you would rather have Rodgers over? Mind you, Geno Smith is now the Raiders quarterback. So you got Geno Smith, Justin Herbert, you've got Mahomes, and you've got Bo Nix. I think I would take all 4 of them over Rodgers, to be honest.
I might take Rodgers over Geno Smith. That's the only one. That's the only one. I'm for sure Nix, Mahomes, Herbert. Those are easy. Geno Smith's a push for me.
Okay, so here's my point. Despite all of what we've talked about and everything else, the Steelers still have, at best, like the 8th or 9th best quarterback situation in the AFC.
Right.
That's
right. It's right in the middle,
reality.
baby.
You know
right
what I'm saying? That's kind of reality. Now, the difference is if it was Mason Rudolph as opposed to Rodgers, we could probably sit here and write down, hey, they're going to win 8 or 9 games, and that's the end of it. Rodgers is such a wild card, that we have to see what happens. And I think part of it, too, is they're going to try and have their defense prop up Rodgers a little bit. And, that's been the plan the last few years. I don't know that we've seen a lot of evidence that they're capable, but maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think the defense is going to be better this year, Paul. I do. they weren't good last year. Like,
No.
I think that's sort of like an under-discussed. Like, they were not good at the end of the year stopping the run. But, like, look at their pass rush numbers. It's very atypical for the Steelers. I mean, they had a stretch there, but just like the rest of it, the end of the season, the collapse kind of skewed those numbers, man. Like, I don't know. I think they can be a lot more productive on defense. If Minkah Fitzpatrick is anything at all, TJ Watt did not have a good year last year. Alex Highsmith had a step down, I think, because of it. Patrick Queen had some rough games early. They had no defensive line. I look at this group, like, I think the defense, I don't think it's going to be like elite, but I think it can be pretty decent. I think it can be better than average. I'll say that.
Yeah. It's just a matter of, again, the defense all coming together. The other issue, obviously, is TJ Watt. They're going to sign him. I mean, there's no drama with that. And some people have wanted to make it drama. There's no drama. He's going to sign.
They shouldn't.
I've written that, and there have been a number of people who have voiced their displeasure with me and called me a hater and all that other stuff. But
because you're a hater.
Yeah, the reality is
you're against them. You're a hater.
The reality is he's a great player, but you're going to give him that much money. He has the body type and the way he plays and how violent he plays and all that other stuff. He gets worn down every year.
Yep.
And he's a non-factor at the end of the year.
It's not
trade him now while he's got lots of value.
It's not worth $40 million. He's not.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, that's
people don't want to hear that. That's uncomfortable. But like, he's not worth $40 million.
He absolutely isn't. Well, I mean, I think we've got it in pretty good, Jason. I think one of the, let's just close it up. Some of our thoughts. Now there's no Aaron Rodgers drama left. He'll be here for minicamp, right?
So that's worth celebrating.
So now that that's off the table, and obviously the first day he's here, that will be the storyline. But now that he's off the table, let's concede that TJ Watt is going to sign. So, even though there'll be some contrived, nonsensical controversy over that, let's concede it's going to happen so there's no controversy. Okay? Are you with me on that?
Yeah, but that's no fun. All right. Fine.
My point is take those two things off the table now.
Yeah.
What are the 2 or 3 storylines that we should all watch, that you and I and everybody else should write about and talk about going into minicamp?
Going into minicamp, offensive line still, I agree with you. I think that's a valid discussion point with them, Broderick Jones and Fautanu. I was going to say, like, bigger, looking further out in the offseason, I think wide receiver is a valid discussion point. Who do you bring in here? What else? The development of the running backs. I think it's important to have a running game. That's probably more of a training camp story for me. Can the defense rush the passer and create some level of havoc? Where are you playing Minkah Fitzpatrick? The impact on the secondary, like Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, like are those guys going to work well together? I don't think any of these are particularly sexy storylines.
Right.
Like, to me, the biggest thing right now is who plays wide receiver. That is the biggest question with the Steelers right now. It's just not going to be solved by minicamp. It's going to be at least I would think so. I don't know. Maybe it's only Thursday. Maybe they get something figured out. Maybe they sign Gabe Davis. But I think that's the biggest question with them right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, that's one of the biggest things that I would tell you too, is that, you know what? How about the corner opposite Joey Porter Jr.?
Slay? Or do you mean like who backs up Slay?
I mean, again, we're talking about older guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think like depth in the secondary, it worries me a little bit. I wish they would have addressed that a little bit more. Like, if you tell me that Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, Deshaun Elliott, and Minkah Fitzpatrick are going to be healthy for all 17 games, cool. But they're not. And like, is Brandon Echols, Beanie Bishop, and Juan Thornhill, is that enough to make you feel better? Like, they're going to get hurt. Stuff is going to happen. I just don't know if they're deep enough on the back end to weather those injuries. I mean, they're going to be bringing on people from the practice squad at this rate. I just don't like the depth back there. It worries me.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree with you. Of course, Beanie Bishop found a way to make himself relevant this week and has nothing to do with football.
Where do you stand on that? You don't care.
I laughed. I thought it was funny. I mean, listen, it's
Yeah.
rivalry week. It's not rivalry week, but I do a little bit of side work for a Pitt website, and I wrote about how Pitt fans need to just chill. I mean, have fun. That's part of it. You love the fact you hate West Virginia, they hate you. And I was talking about how one of my favorite memories at going to a Pitt basketball game, covering it through these years, was the Ronald Ramon, Ronald Ramon 3-pointer at the buzzer to beat West Virginia, Huggy Bear in West Virginia, and that was the year of 13-9. 13-9 was in 2007, and that game was in like March of 2008. And I still remember some of the things that were being yelled by Pitt fans at West Virginia that would probably make what Beanie Bishop did the other day mild, to say the least. So to me, it's a rivalry. The only thing that is comical, Jason, is that Beanie Bishop was one of these 3 schools in 5 years.
I know.
What?
He's like, now he's hitching his wagon to West Virginia. He's a West Virginia guy. Like, there was a third school you were at.
He played in the Paul Bunyan Axe rivalry when he was in Minnesota with Wisconsin. And then before that, he was at Western Kentucky. To me, it's like, whoa, why? Your hatred of Pitt and understanding of this rivalry runs, check notes, 1 game.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, one, it's not like Zach Frazier, guy who grew up as a West Virginia fan. West Virginia through and through. That's his dream, to go to West Virginia. He grew up in a house that probably they hate Pitt. Beanie Bishop was probably on campus for 1 semester, if you think about it. I mean, what are we talking about here? That was what was comical to me.
You know what I found funny too? You have simultaneously, because the Pitt-Penn State stuff wasn't all that old when Beanie Bishop did what he did. So you have a bunch of Pitt fans screaming about, like, Penn State should care about us. Penn State should care. This is a rivalry. Why doesn't Penn State want to be in a rivalry with us? Okay, and then you have a West Virginia person doing exactly that. They're in a rivalry with you. They wipe their feet on your logo. They do what they can to tick you off. You're like, no, you can't do that to us. Like, aren't you asking for a school to be your rival? Like, this is what it's supposed to be. This is what rivals do. Why don't you just embrace it?
It's like, Penn State doesn't want to play Pitt because, there's nothing in it for us. If we're supposed to win, if we lose, it's basically their Super Bowl. If we win, we're supposed to. We don't really, get anything out of it. We don't need to play them really for recruiting because we recruit that area anyway. Yada, yada, yada. And Pitt fans say, they should play it. It's not fair, blah, blah, blah. But then when we go to the Pitt-Duquesne basketball rivalry and have the same discussion, because Pitt is the one that doesn't want to play Duquesne.
Right.
Now all of a sudden it's different. Well, that's different. I can't even – I've had people screaming at me. I can't believe you compared it to Pitt-Penn State. It's the same exact thing.
Penn State's going to sell that place out whether Pitt's there or not. Pitt is not going to sell that place out unless Penn State's there, unless Notre Dame's there.
That's the reality. I mean, to me, it's like Pitt doesn't want to play Duquesne because there's nothing in it for us if we win. If it's all the pressure is on us, we don't really gain anything from it, yada, yada, yada. Well, okay, I just know that when I go to a Pitt Duquesne game, there's 15,000 fans at the arena watching it because people care about it. Yep. When I go watch Pitt play Arkansas Pine Bluff at the Pete, there's 2,000 people there. And most of them are there just because they had to buy that ticket as part of their season ticket package.
Right.
And they're bored on like a Friday night. I mean, what am I missing?
Yeah. No, you're right. We've gotten way off topic, though.
Yeah, I tend to do that. I have ADHD. That's just how it is. All right, Jason, it's been fun. I think we've got. Oh wait, the game is always on at Archie's. Get down to Archie's on Carson Street. Archie's, the home of 80-cent wings, Monday through Thursday. Home of the Paul's Ice Grilled Cheese Sandwich. If you get down to Archie's, Wednesday's trivia night, by the way. If you get down to Archie's, tell Archie I said hello. Tell him I sent you, and enjoy a good night, Jason. I will talk to you, I'm sure, soon. Actually, I'll talk to you probably a lot next week because we will be out at Oakmont writing about golf.
Love it.
So until then, have a good night.
All right, man.
All right. He's Jason, and you can read his stuff at the Post-Gazette, just like you can read my stuff at the Post-Gazette. And this is officially the end of the big show.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.